lot more people coming. This is kind of sort of.
I don't think.
This
Okay.
is it.
I think
Well,
because
good.
Lori and Susan are in the hope test.
We can have a better. We're going to have a really good time.
Yes.
We need to
We
be.
can just chat now.
Yeah. we
Let
can
me
chat,
call
chat.
Susan.
This isn't
Or
a
let me
class.
call
This is
Lori.
a luncheon.
Okay.
Because we're all just,
Good.
I mean,
All right.
I'm gonna call Lori right now, she's in the hope test.
Well, that's fine.
She's in the building.
Yeah. I'm good.
This,
I'm
gonna go ahead
good.
and get started.
Okay.
If that's all right. Do we have a sign-in sheet?
We do,
Yes,
we're
sir.
signed
Is
in.
that going around?
Back there
Good.
on the table.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so what we need to do first of all is welcome you. Anybody do power poses in the last week for anything?
I've been doing them all weekend.
Good?
What's that?
And,
Oh.
and you feel different? Okay, good. It changes chemistry. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's remind ourselves of some of the things we talked about. And I keep throwing this up here because I think it's critical for you to keep in mind what the purpose of this job class is, what the purpose of getting a job is. And the purpose for this class is doing what you can. And I told you at the beginning, everything we talk about in this class are things you can do. And I hope that's been true so far.
Yeah.
Okay? To be ready, because being ready to be hired is just as important as the things you do to get hired. And I hope I've made that point with you all, but we'll probably mention it again. And then to be hired for a job, we get that. Does that need a little more focus? I think it's a little fuzzy. Either that or I'll be blind by the end of it.
I don't have my glasses.
Focus.
Good luck with that.
Mute.
How you focusing?
Let's try this.
I have no idea.
Presentation.
That's too dark.
That's not good.
That's not good.
We gotta get back to where we were, wherever it was. Okay, so it's just before presentation. It was number 2. Whatever was number 2.
That's
Oh no, dynamic was the next. We'll leave it on
That
dynamic.
should be perfect. That might be-
I don't see focus. What does auto mean?
Is it on the
Oh,
next?
That's why that one was.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
It's got short now.
You want widescreen?
Yeah, that is weird. Isn't it?
Poor Steve's had
Yeah,
problems with
I
this
should never
projector
touch that
lately.
button.
Every time.
I should never have touched it. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's a Doris thing and she not
Well, you know
here.
what? I'm
Right.
stuck
No.
now,
There
aren't
you go.
Yeah, Miss Doris is not
What do you
here.
think is wrong? The phase?
No.
No? Digital zoom?
Side.
What?
The size because it shrunk.
Size. Size.
Dad, if you go to the
Oh,
very
H
top.
size. So if I push that, what happens?
I
don't
don't think
know.
that's what you want. I think what you want to do is go to the very top and move over to the next.
Go to
Yeah.
the very top.
All the way up. Up.
Can you get over to the next
Yeah.
tab?
Ah!
No.
Doesn't seem like it's gonna
It needs
let
to
me
be
know.
touchscreen. I wanna go there.
I think we're good. We'll just live with this. I made the mistake. We'll live with it.
The point is saying-
There you go.
No.
There you go,
There
go.
you
You
go.
were up at the tab.
You
already.
went up. You went
I
up to
was?
the tab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You went up to the tab.
to play
Okay, how did I get in there?
You
Oh,
just
I
press
did
enter.
auto. That's what I did. It got me in there eventually. Okay, and so the next one was best resolution. There we go, okay.
And
Now
now,
go.
hit the arrow button.
There it is.
Oh!
That's
Picture.
what you want.
So what do I want?
We'll go over one more.
Oops, excuse me.
That's okay. That's the most exciting thing that's happened so far. This All right.
That was all that stress.
It's letting
No,
itself
this is
out.
sure not
Hey,
exciting.
we gotta laugh about it.
I'm just gonna live with it, my
Yeah.
friends.
Okay.
Okay?
All right,
Okay.
let's just be well enough for one.
I've already messed it up. I'm not gonna mess it up further. All right, so anyway, to be hired, doing what you can to be ready to be hired for a job. The goal is so you can provide for yourself independence. That's the thing. provide for ourselves, and then the key thing is to be able to give to others. And remember, every time I put this up here, I've mentioned the fact that the very fact we're sitting here means there have been a lot of people that have given in order to help others. Not just money, but they've given time, they've given energy, they've given prayer time to it, and that is really our purpose. Fulfill the purpose that God has for us all.
Yeah, I know my prayer warriors worked overtime these last 2 years.
Yeah.
Woo! I know they good and tired.
Where,
There's seats on these ends here.
Oh, that's no problem.
We'll be all right. We're just
Don't let it
starting
happen,
an
yeah.
introduction. We're to review it right here on the first.
well, I pray because
Just don't let it
I'm
happen,
retired, so I don't work, I don't, my job is, right now, is to crochet and send my work to the troops. And that's what I do, that's my
Very
job.
good. Okay.
Aw.
Excellent.
And that's given to others
Yep.
and doing for myself.
Excellent. Thanks. Okay, so so that's the main purpose. Now we've talked about several key ideas on the way through, and let me see if you remember these. Got to get your brain starting to stir.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Oh, what's he
There
doing?
goes
Again.
What's going on?
No, we
What
need
is
no.
nothing.
You know,
We need to go back into
this,
something
the way
else.
it is.
I don't know what happened.
It's right there on top of the windowsill.
Yeah, I'm leaving it.
No,
I'm leaving
you
it.
need to get into another.
No,
because it's
another
gonna-
thing.
All right.
There you go.
Now, we talked about, under doing what you can change and you can learn. We talked about the fact that everybody can change and learn. We also talked about that everybody needs to change because we made a list in the beginning, remember? We talked about what are some things that employers are looking for from employees. And this isn't your list, this is a sample. We had a longer list than this, if you remember. And then we also, when things were mentioned that were things that we learn, we made a separate list because we learn things. That doesn't just mean tonight I say, gee, tomorrow, I think tomorrow I'll know how to do a filing system. No, I have to learn how to do a filing system. But all these things, these are a matter of me saying, gee, you know what? I'm not very focused. Even when I'm work, I just can't focus on. Well, you know what? Employers want me to be focused. Part of making that change is a matter of deciding I'm going to work at being focused. Same with these things. Maybe I'm a drama person. Well, you know what? I need to discipline myself. I need to practice staying calm. And we talked about practicing these and changing and becoming more like the sort of a person that an employer wants to hire. And so if you remember, in our first homework, what did we do about
Can Lori wear her
things we could
boots?
change? What did we do? How did we show we could change? One way that we can make that change. We started doing one of them.
For a week.
Yeah, we did one
Carl
of them.
Moses.
job, I
And what we did is we picked one and we said, I'm going to do this just like it's a job. Just like this is my job.
At my home, it's a job. Cleaning, cooking, taking care of my grandson. That is a job.
It is a job, absolutely.
Parent
And we need to
has
keep,
kids.
we need to look at, and we had a longer list that you probably haven't wrote down in
I wasn't here
your.
last week, so I.
Right, but, but these things, we need to look and say, well, what's one of these areas I do need to work on? And we need to work on it, so we can change, continue to change, becoming more, being ready to be employable. All right, you can change and you can learn. And we talked about the fact, the change for people that know God, that have a relationship with Him, that trust in the Lord Jesus, they've got a new kind of life, and God is at work changing us. And what was the example I used, the illustration? What was the picture in nature?
The The caterpillar.
Yeah, that's right, the caterpillar changes to a
Oh, yeah,
butterfly.
caterpillar, yeah.
And God's at work in us, taking us and completely changing us. And the Bible uses the word transform. That's a big word, but it means completely change. And just like in nature, the caterpillar ends up, because they spin this cocoon, they end up developing into a butterfly. Butterfly has no characteristics that are the same as a caterpillar. It's a complete change. And that's what God's at work doing in our lives. And so we have His help turning us into the people we want to be. And that's another reason why we can change, because God's at work in us as well. All right, and then we learned about brain chemistry and how we can affect our brain chemistry.
My chemistry all off.
Cortisol, good, very good. Cortisol is the name of it, and we talked about,
Oh, Wonder Woman again.
yeah, and Wonder Woman. Amy
That's
Cuddy,
Mandy.
if you remember.
That is
Amy-
Mandy.
Amy Cuddy, who was a researcher at a university, and she discovered that her experiment was she had people take on what are called high power poses. Remember how I described earlier? If I'm sitting in the chair like this, you know, how much power
None.
do I seem to have? Because I'm not giving off any power.
No.
You can see,
You're like this.
I'm withered.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Tired.
I'm with, right. And you see how that's opposite to, let me just pick the, well, let's take the very first one over there on the left. If I sat like this instead, you know.
You're confident.
He's got his arm up. I'm occupying more space. And so I'm sitting like I have a lot of confidence. And the reason, and she found out, this was really the exciting part of the experiment. She found out she had people come in and say, look, sit like this for 2 minutes. Well, first they take their blood to check for cortisol. Then they had them sit for 2 minutes like this, or stand like one of those. And then they took blood again, and cortisol level, which is a hormone connected to stress, dropped. Just because they put
But
their...
not only that, I think when you sit like that,
Yes.
you're accepting and you're
Exactly.
like inviting.
Yep.
Somebody's like this,
Right,
nobody
right.
wants to
They
pay
closing
attention
out.
to you at all.
Yeah, they're closing out. That's a really good
Right.
way to visualize. They're closing out.
Yeah.
The two...
I learned that in my counseling because
Yeah.
it was me, several other people who was in counseling, and I used to sit like this. And he said, first thing he said, you already on the defense. I'm like, why? He said, because you got your arms closed and your closed, right, your mind is closed to anything that's going on.
Yeah.
But eventually, as I started going to the counseling, I started, and you know what I mean? He said, now you're opening up.
Right, right. And there's
Yeah.
two of the characteristics you can just keep in mind, if this helps you, between sort of one pose and the other pose is that in this kind of pose, usually the chin's a little bit down and the shoulders are usually rolled in. So if you think about making sure your shoulders are rolled back, whether you're sitting back or sitting up or standing, if the shoulders are rolled back and the chin's up just a little, just that much, you just get not, I don't want to walk around looking at people like this.
You call that looking down the nose at people.
Yeah, it looks sort of stupid, yeah, and it can, but just a little, you know, just to make sure the chin is sort of up and level rather than pointing down. Make sure the chin is level, shoulders rolled back, now you're in that kind of pose. But a way to do this, and the reason I have all this stuff in a job class is because I do this every time before I speak. I did it today. Is that I find a couple of minutes. If you're going on a job hunt, what do? You go early. So you go in the bathroom. You go in the bathroom to check your hair anyway and make sure you know everything's working right. Your collar's correct. It's not half up, half over, and you know everything's falling into place. But you do this for a couple of minutes. And it's going to reduce cortisol. We know that from the experiments, which is also going to make you feel more confident. And you need that extra feeling
Oh, yeah.
sometimes, just so you can project yourself properly. So we always going to remember our power poses. Use it any time. It's not a, it's not cheating. It's kind of doing the right thing with your body, just like getting a good night's sleep. It helps you be better.
Oh, yes. That's so true.
Yeah, that's right.
That
So-
was on me, too.
So you shouldn't take drugs,
Huh?
but if you do this, you get a little brain chemistry
Do
change.
you say you should take drugs?
Should not take
Why would
drugs.
you take drugs?
But you should get rid of a drug that's in your head, cortisol. You should reduce
I don't know,
it.
I better leave mine up there. I got too much to work with up there, so.
All
It
right.
might be helping hold something together.
So just remember that. Again, that's one of the things we learned. We also talked about, remember, getting stronger. This is part of getting ready. Doing what you can to get ready to be hired for a job. So one of the ways to get ready is get stronger. We talked about getting God's help. And with God, what will help you in your relationship with God is not just go to Him and say, help me, help me, help me, but get involved thanking Him for what you already have. Ask Him what He wants to do in your life. That means, my life is yours. I want to be where you want me to be 10 years from now, 15 years. And then ask Him specifically to guide you in the here and now as you're preparing, as you're going to be hired for a job, and ask for this guidance. This guidance may not be you get the job. It may be no, you don't get this one. But
might
you're
get the
asking
next
for His guidance because you want to be where He wants you to be.
We should have put, mock interviews. You know, make.
I did some last
He
week.
did,
Remember?
yeah,
I was the interview.
Was I behind the camera? Was I?
Yeah, we did, remember last week?
You were a boss. You were a supervisor for one of them.
Yeah.
Remember, I got dressed up in a sweatshirt with
Wait a minute, y'all tripping me out because I don't remember that.
Really?
He did.
Oh my God.
Well, I'll show you when we get. We'll
You
review.
remember last week he had a sweatshirt and he put it up on top
Yeah.
of his head.
We'll
Remember you
review.
were sitting right over here?
I think I had to leave.
We'll review that a little bit. Don't worry.
Okay.
But back to this. What else you need to get stronger is you need people around you.
Yes.
You have a mentor here at the well.
Guidance.
Great. You've also got friends. There's also other people that will be willing to serve kind of as informal mentors if you keep your eye open.
But see, you have to be careful,
You do have to be careful.
very careful.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, we learned we need to get stronger, and then we also talked about developing a plan. And this is one example of the kind of plan you
That was
should.
our homework. That
It was our homework for the second, after the second class, yes.
Second class.
But make some kind of plan. This is one example of it, where you're listing, so you're recognizing, acknowledging your strengths, your weaknesses, things that you're able to do. And then with the help of friends and your mentor, possible types of jobs I could do. So you get a couple of jobs here. Well, what do I need to change and learn in order to get one of those kind of jobs? It's a way to get to, okay, focus on these things. Change this, learn this. Change that, learn that. And you can change and learn.
And
Okay,
I
you
did the
just put my
homework
brain
with
in
my
overdrive.
mentor, and I didn't get to bring it because I was gone.
We'll give you full credit today.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes.
I did, I got it at
Overdrive.
home, I do.
Okay, then last week, was this last week? It was.
Yeah.
I had those application forms I put up here. Remember, we learned some things.
McDonald's.
Why should you read application forms?
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
See what they're looking for. Let me show
What
you
they're
what I had up on the
You are
screen
on
last
top of
time.
this.
And let's remind ourselves. So here's the McDonald's,
Yeah.
I know that
one
one.
page from, you what?
I know that one.
Yeah,
I used to
Been there,
hire
done
and
that?
fire. No, I used to hire and fire.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
So, and you want to notice that McDonald's, they want you to apply. They're saying apply today. And then they say right here, if you are hired, some of your responsibilities would include, and they list a bunch. So they want employees, they want good employees.
And
That's
they
what they're
tell
telling
them.
you.
Uh-huh.
They're
Tell
telling you, we want good employees.
Right.
All right, we had another part of a form, I think this was from Party City.
Yeah.
And we noticed that we can tell what's important to the company because they'll tell you often. Very top line here. You are required to provide our customers with outstanding service.
Do you accept?
So what's important to this company?
Customer service.
Customer service.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you read the application and say, I just learned about you. That's what, you want good employees and you want this to be important. So if I want to work there, that needs to be something I choose to make important in my work.
Even
Yes,
if,
ma'am.
when you're working, even if the customer is mean, you have to smile, say, yes, what can I do? Customer service is very, very important.
Right, and it's quite a skill to have,
Oh, yeah.
just because like you say.
And not
When
just in,
customers are
say, a
mean.
retail position,
Anywhere, yeah.
but also in like an office
Yeah.
position, no
Absolutely.
matter where you
Or
are in the office,
cashiering.
Yeah.
you know.
I did a lot of cashiering at the airport.
But
Yeah.
see, you can tell a lot by a person from an interview as far as,
Yes.
if they customers, you can tell if they customer service material, because when you have an interview, the best thing in the world to do is give eye contact.
Yes.
Yes.
Cause if you looking
talked about
down
that.
and over here, well, what you gonna do when the customer come up? You gonna be over here and over here and
Exactly.
playing with your nails? That's not good customer
It's harder today to get a job
I hate to
than
let
it
you go
was
with
a
their
while
father
ago.
one day.
I have,
And then
okay,
stand there a few minutes.
I got four
much
children, all
harder
are
today.
grown, adults, all married. One of my children deals,
Would this be you?
you would say they deal directly with customers. The other three, and me and my job, we do not deal directly with the customers. None of us are selling anything in our jobs. But customer service is still critical
Yeah.
because we have to provide service within our organization that helps other organizations do
And
things
other
or
employees.
sell or do the product.
And other employees.
And other-
too.
yeah,
'Cause if you
that's
can't
right.
get along with other
Right,
employees.
exactly.
Just like my daughter, she's
All right.
in that.
Now, on applications, look for things that might be asked in the interview. We covered this last time, but I'm reviewing it. What might be asked in an interview based on this application? Do you remember?
Well, I wasn't here, but I'm thinking, what days you can work?
What days you can
That's
work?
important.
That's here, but
What time?
But there's an arrow here, there's a specific thing that you can learn about what,
Provide
You
your
will
definition
ask
of
your
outstanding customer
Exactly.
service.
Outstanding customer
see what this
service.
says on the application form. On the interview, you will be asked. Well, guess
Oh,
what you're
yeah.
gonna be asked in the interview? That question. They're gonna ask you that, they're telling you they're gonna ask you that.
That's right.
If you are a person that reads the application carefully and says, oh, they're gonna
They give
ask
you
me
the
that,
answer.
I better have a good answer, that puts you in a better position to be hired than some of the other applicants
Also
who I
shows that
guarantee you
read.
The
won't
application.
read it,
Right.
Right,
and some that will read it and won't
Ignore
prepare.
it.
right.
Because that's how people are. You might think,
Right.
why in the world would they not prepare? That's how some people are. But you just need to make sure you're
I'm
prepared.
guilty of that sometimes. Couple
And you
Okay.
got the ones that ask you,
I
what
do,
can you
man.
bring to the company?
Right?
Yes.
What can you,
Yeah.
what make,
Okay.
if I hire you, what can you?
And
What
I've
can you
been
do
not
for the
prepared
company?
only
Yeah.
because it was like a different type of job than I was used to, that I was applying
Right.
for. And I had no clue.
Good.
Like, and I didn't read like all the paragraphs and stuff, I'll be admitting.
Okay, so here, you also can learn something about important dates. So here you have this great big paragraph. We see these all the time in our lives, and we never read them.
Right.
And then we just sign, because, yeah, blah, blah, this is not a contract, I could be terminated any time. I authorize person, school, companies, and organizations in this application to release any information concerning me. And look buried way at the bottom. I understand that this application for employment will only be considered for 120 days from the date it's submitted. Should I wish to be considered for employment beyond this time period, I must submit a new application. So,
Right?
I'm just fine. So, that big long paragraph contains some important information at the very end.
120 days,
about
and
it.
after that, you gotta come back in 120 days to reapply,
submit a
if
new-
you're interested.
Submit a new application, right. So, read applications, because sometimes there's important dates. And then, this is really important to us here at the well, because at the well, you're getting experience under a mentor. So there's some learning and changing under a mentor. You're going to classes where they're telling you, you can change, you can learn. That's this class. You can change, you can learn, and saying, here's ways you can change, here's how you can learn. And you're also doing some volunteer work. You're working at the well. It's volunteer work, but you're working. And notice places in the application where you have opportunities to include good things like that, like the stuff at the well. And right here, general, what other relevant experience or training have you had, and what other activities are you involved in? That's where you would put stuff like this. Well, by the way, I had a job preparedness training. I had a mentor. I had this other training and that other training. And here's what I learned from it. So you can put, they usually give you, there's somewhere in the application usually where you can.
What's the
Budgeting.
national origin of members?
Oh, this is, they're saying exclude organizations that indicate race, religion, age, or national origin of members. So they don't
Some-
Black
want,
Panther, Ku
Some
Klux Klan,
don't like people
Yeah,
to
national
work.
origin of
Yeah.
members.
like
Yeah.
skinheads,
So-
they don't like black
No.
people, Jews
Yeah,
and
or
stuff like
even
that.
like
A national
any
origin.
religious
That's what she's
thing.
saying.
or-
Yeah.
What you're
Like
saying.
Mason, like my grandfather was a Mason, and I was, so I
That's a
wouldn't include-
national origin
Yeah.
of members.
Well, like if it was the Nigerian members of blah, 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 then it would be clear that you were Nigerian,
Yeah.
which meant that there was a chance you could be
I-
discriminated against.
yeah, if
That's
I,
a national origin
Yeah.
of members. Okay.
That's what you're
yeah,
saying.
they want to avoid organizations that have a very bad association with that. But it also means they're going to cut out things like if I belong to the, I don't know, Polish American Club and I did volunteer work for them, they're going to say, yeah, that's not, because we want to be careful about these other groups, we're not going to deal with that. But national origin would be where you were born,
Okay.
or your heritage.
You're like an Indian
Like a tribe.
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Like a tribe
perfect.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
actually what I was thinking about, but.
All right, now, so we, in the first 2 weeks, we did what we could. In weeks 2 and 3, we got ready to be hired. And then in week 3, we talked about getting hired. So, can you, getting hired, sort of this third part of our purpose statement. So, name something that you think is very important in getting hired. Let me see a show of hands. Somebody's got an idea.
That's something very important to getting hired.
Getting hired,
Yeah, raise your hand. So I can call, we want to hear all these. Yes,
I'm trying to think.
The
What
important
would you
part
say?
is being on time.
on time,
That's what I
good.
just
Yes.
took.
How you dress.
How you dress, yes, that's what I'm, yes.
Be safe.
Be safe, absolutely right. Thank you. Okay,
Safe.
other ideas?
Flexibility,
Yeah.
Is there another hand?
flexibility.
Flexibility, absolutely, yeah.
Dependable, being dependable.
Yeah.
Dependable,
and
okay.
have respect.
How to greet the employee.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that, there you
the
go.
first thing I'm gonna say, all those fit in very well. First thing I'm gonna say is prepare. You have to prepare. If you're not prepared, you're not
Go to
there.
get it.
I done had them come and say, yo, y'all hiring? And I just looked at him like, that's what he said to me. He said, yo,
Reading-
y'all hiring?
Reading applications, that's part of preparing.
Right.
Seeing, oh, they're gonna ask me this question, I'm gonna think up an answer, that's preparing. Practicing how you greet an employer is
So
preparing.
you wouldn't walk in and
No,
say,
you-
no.
No, you wouldn't walk into the place and say, yo, y'all hiring? I'm the one here for the interview.
Right.
Excuse you? And who are you again?
So how about we give a good example?
Hello, how are you? My name is such and such, and I'm here for the interview.
Perfect.
And that big grin.
2 o'clock appointment.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
let's
be
take a look.
on time.
Be early.
All right.
They look at that.
Let's,
Be early.
let's raise hands so everybody can hear. We got too many people talking at once, we can't hear each other, and these are important contributions. Be on time, right. So here, this is a set of things that come under the category of making a good first impression, or what I say is begin well. So come early,
I have a
perfect. Somebody
question.
else had mentioned dress earlier on. Yes, hold on just a second.
Yep.
Smile,
Smile, yeah.
firm handshake, and somebody said, you said eye contact, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a question with
Yes.
that one.
Yes.
Suppose they just like, I'm not like a big handshaker.
Yes.
Would that count against me? I mean, I'll pound all day long, but I'm not a big handshaker.
Well, that is.
If an interviewer comes and say,
I mean, if he
wait,
extend his hand, I'm a.
right, you're waiting in the waiting room.
Go ahead and smack and go.
And the interviewer comes out and, says, who's the 1 o'clock appointment? And you say, oh, it's me, hello, I'm so-and-so. And they say, yeah, nice to meet you.
Now see,
Are you gonna shake
That's
it?
my.
now
That's
put
my
your hand out there,
expression. But see, that's my expression is like.
Okay.
Okay, somebody just brief and firm,
That-
brief and firm.
That was
Get done.
that was a good handshake. But if you're gonna leave them hanging out
No,
there.
I wouldn't leave them hanging.
Right. You don't have to initiate, but as long as you're doing everything else right, all these things together work to creating that impression.
It's like Howie Mandel, he refuses to shake hands with
He's
him.
a.
Because he's got.
Oh,
His is a mental.
no,
issue.
he's
He does.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
All right, hold on. So keeping eye contact, smiling, giving that warm greeting. Hey, I'm Steve Coleman. It's really nice to meet you. And if you're doing these things, not extending your hand as the initiator is not going to count against you.
Okay.
Yes.
What's not up there is if there's a receptionist
Right.
or a first person before the actual interviewer
Yes,
person.
you're right.
To really do those 3 and 4, even with them.
Exactly. That's
you
exactly
know,
right.
Because you don't know.
Right. You
They
do this.
could be the boss.
Well, they
Just trying
could
to
be,
see.
but they could have some kind of influence on
And that's
what
another good
happens
example.
when you walk in.
If you're the receptionist, you're sitting behind a big desk, I'm not
Right.
gonna say, yeah, nice to meet you. You know, but I'll do the others. Smile, keep eye contact, warm greeting.
Right.
Hi, I'm Steve Coleman. I believe I have a 1 o'clock interview,
Right.
so and then they say, oh, thank you. It's so nice meeting you. What's your name? Oh, good. Because then when you come out, you wanna say, thanks Rosa, or whatever her name is,
It's gotta be Rose.
whatever it is.
Why can't be George?
Rosa gets it done.
How do you know
Oh,
that
okay.
he's the boss?
Yes.
Say that there's
Yeah.
a lady there, you greet her, and how do you know that he might call and say, what do you think about this person?
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
Like,
that is an
that
excellent,
receptionist
excellent
might
point.
have the
Yeah,
influence.
yes.
Exactly. Okay,
I
good.
mean, I know that worked when I did Aflac. There was a office manager that sat out at the front desk, and that we did ask her.
Then we talked about, after that greeting, you sit down, and you don't sit like this. You don't sit like this, You don't, pardon me, you don't sit like this,
Like what?
right? You don't sit like that.
He
No,
knows her.
no.
No.
Well, I
can
thought he
sit-
did a mort.
You can sit with your back against the backrest, but don't have your shoulders rolled forward and your chin down.
That's right.
Roll them back, not,
Sit up straight.
not like this, just back.
Yes.
And then again, the chin, where's the chin go?
Up.
Just up a little.
Yeah.
Not here, how we normally carry our head, just get it up just a fraction like that. And then the shoulders back.
Yes.
Well, that's the other thing, and I think you point out, it opens your lungs up.
Yeah.
When you're like this, when we're like this, it opens.
so nervous, you gotta.
And yeah, well, this will make you feel more nervous as you sit there.
Oh, yeah.
This
You breathe.
continues on that power pose.
Right.
And it will help you with
Yeah.
confidence. Good. All right. Good posture, good eye contact. We've talked about that a lot. Talk about your strengths and what you have done. You're there to tell them what you know about yourself. You're being honest. And the ways in which you see that you would be a good employee for them. So you need to try to tell them those things wherever you can in the
And
interview. Yes.
we had the Grace workshop last
Yes.
Wednesday.
Yeah, well, good.
They did resumes, and again,
I'm happy.
kind of the same thing, but they did, you know, like short and to the point. You
Yeah.
don't wanna add in all your family history and all
Exactly.
that,
Right.
you know,
Keep to the point.
yep.
So fit stuff in, but keep it to the point. Give them a lot of information, but don't talk on and on.
Right.
And then we talked about finishing up with a couple of questions. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And then, well, I like to call it end well. You're leaving a lasting impression.
All right, y'all.
So
Let's
you
talk.
thank the interviewer. Or you and you, as you leave, if there was a secretary and they're not on the phone or super busy, you say, oh, thank you very much. It was nice meeting
Give a
you.
whisper and wave.
Yeah, just. Not that, but you
Not
know.
that, all right, y'all, I'll catch you later.
So.
Okay. It's good, so you're thanking the interviewer, it's good to include one last expression of interest. Sounds like a great opportunity, or I look forward to hearing from you, or both, or something like that.
Thanks for your time.
That indicates, yeah, you want to thank
Or
them, you want to
considering-
have another expression of interest. Give them a smile, maybe a handshake.
Yeah,
That's just
then
for
you would have to be the initiator
Right.
on that.
And
in
eye
the end.
contact. Okay, so these 12 things are the things then that we did some role playing. And so, if I remember right, in the first one, I got dressed inappropriately.
Huh?
And then I sat and I said, oh man, 2 minutes till the meeting, good, I'm here, and rushing in. So I didn't come 10 minutes early. I didn't have time so I didn't do the power pose.
Right.
I didn't dress appropriately, but I did, if you remember. I had good eye contact,
Yeah.
good greeting, and so on. So, you know, but you want to try to do as many of these correctly as you can.
Right.
So we had a number of those things where I talked on and on about one question one time.
Sat backwards in the chair one
Ah.
time.
I did sit backwards in the chair.
Really?
Yeah. Put a hoodie on and everything.
Yeah. So just trying to show you see what it looks like when it's done right, see what it looks like when it's done wrong, to help stick it in. See, that's a teacher trick. That's helping stick it in your mind. So hopefully some of those stuck. And it sounds like it does, because you all are coming up with all the right answers all along here, that's perfect. That's what I was hoping you'd get out of this.
You're a good teacher, Steve.
Oh, thank you very much. I
Yes,
appreciate
you
it.
are a good teacher.
All right, and we ended last time with an important, very important point, and that is interview questions. There we go. It's really that one. Brace yourself for rejection. Job interviewing, I would like to say it's impossible to go look for a job and not experience rejection. I shouldn't say that, because I guess technically maybe you won't experience it, but almost all of us do.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Well, the
So-
thing is not letting it get you down.
Right, well, that's right, because you go get support from mentor and friends. And then here's the most important, it's a fill-in on your handout. See rejection as an opportunity to improve.
And
So
maybe
like I
that might
said-
not been the job for you too.
Right, but so like I say, you come back, you're rejected. So you call a friend together, say, can you give me 45 minutes or an hour, let's go for coffee. Take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and say, I just wanna unload. And then complain, talk about your frustration, so on. At the end of that time, boom, that's done. Now we say, okay, sort of got on my chest, I'll get over it eventually. Now, can you help me? Let's talk about how I can improve, how I can use this experience to improve, to change more, to learn more, you know, and then go through that. And just always see it as an opportunity to improve, and you will improve more. And the key idea there was, it's important how you handle rejection and disappointment. And that's not just a job preparedness class. That's for your whole life. It's important how you handle disappointment or rejection. If it's a cause for you blowing up, copping an attitude,
Worry, wonder why I.
worrying all the time,
You know, that, yes,
that's not the way to handle disappointment and rejection in
Right.
life.
that's true, right.
And threatening to go blow up the place ain't helping either.
No.
That's just gonna get you in some bad places.
Or
You know how
telling-
many times I was threatened, oh, I'm gonna come back and blow this place up?
Yeah.
Be my guy.
Or telling, even if it's a friend and they've hurt you, it's like, I'm not talking to you anymore. Boom, you know. That's not helpful.
Right.
That's not helpful in your life. In your life, you've got to see these things as opportunities to be
What is that
part of
saying?
that transformation, part of that change, so you become more like Christ,
That-
your Christian.
That saying, if you're not learning, you're
Yep.
not growing.
That's right.
Something like that.
That's right. All right, so today, two more things. There are two things here. We have a panel, which was going to be 3 people, and then it was going to be 2 people. And then today, no, thank you, I'm good. And then today, my second person has come up sick. So I have one person. That's Melanie Coleman.
It's actually Melanie Sheeny.
Melanie Sheeny,
No longer want Shanny Felt?
sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm not Shaneyfeld anymore, I'm Haneyfeld, so anyway.
Haney Felt. Who called you that?
Mr. James from Baltimore Market at the community
Yeah.
meeting the other day.
And I was gonna have, like I say, another person, I was hoping for 3. The importance of a panel is this. You've heard me talk, which is fine. I have some things to say. But the panel is a different gender than I am. So maybe there's some ways in which the females that we're gonna be, or this female on the panel, they might be able to put a different angle on things if you have a question. Number 2 is that that the panel people are all people who have had significant obstacles in their life that they've had to overcome too. Life hasn't been 100% smooth ride from childhood to adulthood. They've had to overcome things as you have in your life, obstacles. Not necessarily the same, I'm just saying obstacles. And so I think it's important for you to hear from people like that as well. And there was a third thing, now I can't remember. Let's see if I put it in my notes. I think I did. Oh, different personalities, of course. I have a certain personality, and that makes me think in certain ways. I've had to learn and change in some ways in my life, but because my personality is different, it may be different than the things that you're against. So again, to have a panel of people with different personalities might lend it, again, a little different eye to this thing. So I introduced the panel, and I'm just going to let Melanie sit for a minute, and let me tell you about the rest of your handout. What's in the rest of your handout are 2 different resources for you. One is about questions in the interview process. I have about 21 questions that are pretty common, at least in terms of type. And we can talk through all of those. I put some little blurb underneath them to tell you a little bit about how to answer questions like this. So that's a resource. The 3 pages after those questions end are 3 lists. I really search for a good list of words. It's always helpful to look at a list of words when you're filling in applications or going to go on an interview, just so you're not
Even for your
always saying,
resume.
you know, I did this, I did that, I did that. Well, no, I created this, I managed that, I initiated that. Now, I have to warn you, the first page is action words. I don't use half of those words in my life. So it's got too many words on it, really. But it does. You don't need all those words. I don't need all those words. But every time I look for a list of action words, it just was a huge list. And it has all these words on it I would never use. And so don't feel intimidated by the list. Yeah, exactly. So I've never used outsource when I've been in a job interview. I've never used integrate in a job interview. I've never used ascertain in a job interview. So don't worry about the words. that make no sense to you. But there are some words on there that might help give you ideas about ways to talk about what you've done. Page 2 is a set of phrases, which again, there's a lot of those I would never use.
Right.
You may find that they just help you, so I just offer. And then the third one is descriptors, which sort of are describing activities.
Analytical.
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 Yeah. But there are words on here like aggressive.
What's amenable?
Amenable means it's you're flexible, you're easy with. But see, I've never used amenable in a job interview.
I don't even know what it was.
Right, and so I apologize.
okay.
I didn't make up this list. I
Right.
copied it from off the internet.
Well,
So
it's
it's going to have
nice.
words in
Oh,
here that
yeah.
aren't going to be helpful to you, but some maybe. So I give those.
Watch me probably know, but I'm very amenable.
Yes, thank you.
Very amenable.
And they're gonna look at you like,
You are, in fact. So there you go.
overqualified.
So I just want to explain, don't think I'm telling you, you got to use words, all the words that you use need to be like this. That's not what I'm
Or
saying.
might be sharp.
I just want to provide something that might be helpful. Okay, so back to the questions. Any questions you have about job preparedness, anything we've covered in class, I'm happy to answer those questions. Melanie is prepared to answer those questions.
Okay, girl, let's
I'm
hear it.
amenable.
She's not really prepared, but she can answer a lot of questions from a job standpoint. And then I also told you that I have these interview questions here, and if you, looking at these questions, say, oh gee, I see you give me some advice, but what would an answer sound like with that? Ask her that question. Say, can you tell me how you would answer this question? She will be able to give
she's
you an
gonna have all
answer
21
from her
questions right now.
perspective. And I can do the same. So let me open the floor to questions, and Melanie and I are here to answer questions.
I'm trying to.
Anybody want to start before I ask her a question?
Like wise?
Wise? Are you asking if I am wise? The answer is no.
Okay. What?
I don't know.
Be wise, you know what I mean?
Do you mean, do I have any tips for you?
I don't know, it's on here.
Oh, that's-
I'm just going like
All right,
sharp.
yes.
I mean,
Yes. Yes. All right. Let me start by saying, Melanie, from your perspective,
Okay.
what would you say for you? What's the most important 2 or 3 things that you do to prepare for a job interview?
The first thing I do is I look up the company. Even, like, so sometimes I'll be applying for a job as the office manager of a large Episcopal church. I look up the church, I look up the denomination, I look up all of the different staff ahead of time. I research their website like crazy. But if
Background, that's really
I do the
good.
full background and I come up with questions about the church. But I do the same thing for like a chain store like Yankee Candle. I find out what their best-selling candles are. I find out kind of what their deal is. Like, why do they say they have the world's best candle? What about it makes it the best?
That's great.
You know, stuff like that, so I can ask questions that make it sound like I care. Because it seems to me what all of the people who've interviewed me want to know is, do I care? Like, do I care about their company? Because if I care about their company, I'm gonna want to give them my best.
Yes.
And that's what they
Exactly.
want.
100%.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're, if you're like changing jobs, like totally, 'cause I've done it and it was totally nerve-wracking and didn't last very long. But anyway, like how do you really prepare for that change? Not necessarily the job interview, but the
That's a good
change
question.
to go from this to something totally
like job
different.
to job.
So I went from St. Anne's Episcopal Church in Annapolis, where I was the manager there, to it's the church in the circle. I went from that to I got married, and then I worked as a sales clerk at Yankee Candle. So I mean, it was just completely different worlds. I went
Right.
from salaried this whole universe of everything, and then to being a cashier. So there are some things that I know to be universally true, and it's when people come to see you for something, it doesn't matter where you're working, they want what they want, and they want you to give it to them.
Right.
So they're not super concerned with you ever. So that's one thing I had to remember is no matter where I am, my job is to look out for the people who are coming to me and to help them the best way that I can. And everything else is just a matter of logistics. Like it's a matter of candles versus cue cards versus, you know, donor information versus, you know,
Right.
add-ons at the register. Like it's just all it is there are two different versions of things. So that I think is what you would have to do is figure out, universally speaking, what are you doing?
Right.
And because it's probably kind of the same. And then once you get there, just plug in the different things for what they are, and it will help you kind of transition your brain so that you don't feel lost when you.
And I eventually did that.
Oh, you did?
Once
Wonderful.
I did do the job.
Yeah.
But it just didn't because I got the twins.
Yeah.
And then.
Because it's easy to get lost, isn't it?
But it was nerve wracking.
Yes.
I was going from cashier to, which is still kind of sales, but to my own, making my own schedule and selling supplemental benefits.
Right.
So that's a big change.
Right.
So.
Now, like what you were saying, back then when I was working,
Mhm.
I went to one working for the state,
Mhm.
and then I went to the government. And I'll tell you, that was a totally, but back then we didn't have to get on the computers and stuff.
Didn't have to-
You know, you had to do what you thought was best at these certain jobs. So, I went to cashier for the airport for the state, then I went to the government, worked in, NSA building under a contractor, totally different. And I worked in the big cafeteria. It was totally different, you know, from a cashier, you do what you need to do, you know. It was different, it was different.
And the good news is you can put those kinds of experiences onto a resume, and it shows that you're really capable of
Mhm.
handling a
Flexible,
very
yeah.
large number of tasks in
Well,
different
like
ways.
back then, you put what you could do. Like a cashier, you work in a cafeteria and all that. Back then, now you can get on a computer, you gotta get on a computer now.
That's right.
And, you know, but
Yeah.
I got them, I mean, cause I guess they liked me.
Nice.
Good. Super, thank you. Other questions?
Come on, Lori, I know you guys know.
Does anybody have any of the interview questions they want to do a run through of?
Can you tell me a little about yourself?
Okay, I certainly can.
Oh,
So, the nice thing for me, right, and this is me talking to you, not as the person, but the nice thing for me right now is I got a few things going for me. I just got married, and everybody likes to hear like a happy life event. But it's nice because it's a brief thing, I don't have to go into detail. So I can just say, well, I just got married, so we're living in the Annapolis area. And then I would pick whatever parts of my life would sort of have some kind of relevance to
The position?
the position. So like, let's say I'm applying for a position as a music teacher in a school.
Okay.
So, because that's kind of where I'm headed. So if they ask me, then I'll talk about, I've always had a love for children. In these summers, I went and worked on the program staff at this camp. I went into this music program for a week at this church, you know, in 2011. You know, and I've just always really had a great passion for wonderful, you know, wonderful musical events. I can't tell you how many concerts I've been to in the past couple of years. Ha ha ha. And that's how I'd answer it. Something like that. So I just would immediately pull whatever parts of my life have to do with the job
Right.
and kind of make it conversational, but make that person aware that I'm not just interested in the position for what it is, but that I'm interested in that position because of who I am. Because again, then they'll know I care and that I want to be a part of their team.
Come on, people.
What do you consider
Come on, I've
to be
been talking.
weaknesses?
What do I consider to be my weaknesses? That was my hardest question when I started prepping for interviews. Okay, so the advice my dad gave me, because I would always go over to his house the night before freaking out when I had a job interview, and sometimes the day of, is I would be like, I don't know what my weaknesses are! And he's like, okay, pick things that you're working on, and then describe how you've worked on them so that you start off talking about weaknesses, but you end up talking about how resourceful you can be and how you've become strong.
Your goals.
Right, and my goals, like what I want to do in the future. So for me, a big one is organization. I'm a slob, my poor husband, and so which is not what I say in interviews. So I'll say, sometimes I struggle a little bit with certain organizational systems. One thing that really helped me in my last job was the chance that I had to restructure some of how we kept filings. And when I went through that purging process, I worked with my employer and we created a new system that was far more user-friendly. And then I used a keyword, intuitive, because that's like a big time word right now. Like Apple uses it all the time. So then I said a much more intuitive system so that whoever would come after me would also find it easy to use as well. I hope to do that in every office I'm in to make it better than when I showed up.
Intuitive means that it's very clear to you how it works, or what you should be doing next,
I
or.
just always wondered, how would you answer that question? And that was perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
If they asked you that, I mean,
So what would you say is a weakness for you?
for myself.
Yeah, just straight up.
Mine would be being bombarded with a whole lot of things at one time. I can tend to bum rush.
Concentration.
Okay, so what happens is you get overwhelmed by like a whole bunch of stuff and then you have no idea how to separate it all.
Separate all.
Okay, so that's something I deal with too. So if I were asked that question and I needed to make that my weakness,
Yeah.
what I would say is sometimes I'm a little bit nervous that my priorities aren't matching my employer's. So one of the things that I really intend on working on, one of the things I have been working on and will continue to work on is checking in regularly with my employer to make sure that he or she is satisfied with what things I'm spending the most time on as new assignments come in. Because that shows, again, you care about what your employer needs more than what you want to get done. So.
Thank
So
you.
again, it's that you can talk about your weaknesses honestly, but you also can talk about what you're already doing.
To fix it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they like to know you're already choosing to change yourself.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Good.
Now me, if I got on the computer, I wouldn't even know what that was. I'd be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because to be honest, I don't use computers. I don't either, that's
It's a
why.
combination of things. I'm sorry, this is actually, she wants to know what makes Yankee candles
Yeah,
better.
I'm curious.
Because
now.
there actually is a reason. It's what they choose to use for fragrancing, and it's the fact that they use 100% paraffin wax in their jar candles, and then it's also what the wicks are made of. Their candles are actually super incredible.
They are.
Yeah, like Bath and Body Works will have a sale 3 doors down at the mall, and their candles can't hold a candle.
Oh,
You're telling.
Okay. We advise people
Yes.
to have a question or two or more to ask when they go into an interview. What questions have you prepared in the past, and which ones have worked best?
I knew at Christ Episcopal Church in Columbia, one of the places where I worked, that there was, it was a sizable church, one of the larger ones in Maryland, and they had their own on-campus graveyard, which was kind of fun. I had lunch with some dead people sometimes.
Huh?
And,
Oh my.
like, they were already in the ground, not like with them. Anyway, there was just some nice benches around the property, and it was really beautiful there. So, one of the questions I asked was, you have a large number of parishioners and a small area for for a cemetery, are there plans to expand the cemetery? So I was interested in the future of the church. Another thing I asked about was the the racial and socioeconomic demographic of the church, just so I could get a sense to know how diverse the church was. Is the church a very diverse church, has lots of different races, or is it kind of all white, all black, all whatever? So, at Yankee Candle, I asked questions about the corporation, and I asked about people who started out as clerks and what happened when they really grew to continue to love the company and wanted to move up. What did that look like? Yeah, like what kind of goals could someone set if they fell in love with the company? And my store manager just about fell over. She was so happy that I asked her that, because it showed I wanted to, because when you have an employee who wants to grow in the company, that's not going to be the employee who doesn't stock the shelves. Because they want the shelves full and they want people buying those candles.
Right.
So, she knows she's going to get a good employee.
So you see how just the very fact of asking a question and that question tells the interviewer something about her. And that's sort of the key, one of the major keys to asking questions. They're a very powerful way to get that across. Let me just...
I'm sorry, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, sure.
A couple of questions I never, ever, 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 ever ask in my interviews until I've been offered a job. I never ask about vacation. If they offer the information, that's fine, and I never ask about salary. Never. When they offer me the job, that's when we start to talk.
That's it. Good.
And just so you know.
Now on page 4 of your handout,
Am I still here?
you can talk too much.
No, but I mean, can I?
You can sit there, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
She doesn't like being up front.
Yeah, it's a little
Nervous.
exposing.
It's a class. Yes. To be an instructor, you have to stand up here and expose.
I didn't do my power pose. I wasn't ready.
Now,
It's awesome.
now, on page 4, just because this is such an important point, we'll close on this. Questions you can ask in a job interview. So there's 5 down here, and I just recommend them to you. Melanie hit on 1 or 2 of them. The first one, how do you define success for this job? You're asking the interviewer, how do you define success in this job? You're getting the interviewer to tell you, we want employees who do this, and employees who do this, and employees that have this attitude. And boy, that's, again, it's like reading an application form. It's like, you're telling me everything I need to know to tell you where my strengths are so that you'll see I'm a good candidate for this place. So that's a good one. Number 2, ask something specific about the organization. Melanie did that in her examples.
Right.
She had looked up some stuff, and so she was able to ask a question specific about I can't remember the exact question anymore about Yankee Candle. It's something, and they were like, well, yeah. I mean, it's
Growth
like,
in the company.
yeah, it's like, how many applicants are going to do that?
Right.
Not many. And I just say that because, not because they're stupid or anything like that, but that's just humans.
Yeah.
Humans don't tend to go that far. If you take that extra step, we're getting to it. If you take that extra step, you're going to be that candidate who's a step above. Number 3, can I have a quick tour? Can I meet people I'd be working with? This is not a question I thought of. I found this online, but it does. It gets you out of the interview room, allows you to look a little more at the office about the people that you'll be working with, what they're doing. You can see maybe how they're interacting. So it gives you a chance to see more about like what's working here like. Well, you got some eyes on it. The 4th one, what is your favorite part about working here? And
I would never think about asking that, but that.
No, I wouldn't either.
yeah.
Honestly, I did.
Right. Well, what are they going to answer? What kind of information are you going to get? You're telling the interviewer. You're asking of the interviewer. What is your favorite part about working here? What are you going to
Probably
get from that?
benefits. Some kind of benefit for them.
I asked that at Yankee, and my girl was like, the discount. because she loves their candles. And you get a great discount, and that's awesome because the more you love the candles, the more you want to sell them,
Yeah.
because you want
Right.
the product to be successful.
Right.
And
Good.
yeah, and it gave
Good.
me an insight into what is important to her. And it's important to her that you show love for what you do.
Yeah, exactly. See, you have to go beyond just the answer, say, what does that tell me?
Like to
What
get
does
giddy
that
over
tell
the
me?
shipment that's coming in is
Right.
something she would do, yeah.
What does that tell
It's
me?
like Christmas.
So just like applications, you read them, what does this tell me?
Right.
When you ask a question, they answer, what does this tell me about the place? Very good. And then number 5 is one I mentioned last week. Do you see any reason I might not be a good fit for this position? Or is there anything I haven't explained clearly that would make me a good candidate? You know, and you know, it's like anything they say there gives you an opportunity to say, you know, just to reinforce or fill in that gap for them. So getting questions prepared. And I told you about my story, where the only thing in the second interview of the job I had, the guy leaned back and said, well, I suppose you have some questions for me.
No, yeah.
And I was like, I have a couple, yeah. And then he said, well, anything else? Thanks. Nice to see you here.
Goodness.
I walked out of there saying, I'm never gonna go without questions. I was so glad and I got the job. And I'm so glad I had questions to ask. They weren't, one of them was that sort of question. It was a young school, it was a law school, and they hadn't been in existence but for about 10 years, which is very short for a college or a law school. And so I said, you know, like, where do you want to see this school move in the next 5 years? I mean, it's only been in existence 10, so that's 5 more years. That's 1/3 of its life. You know, so where do you want to see this thing move? Where's it going? So, okay. Well, that's it. Unless there's any last questions from
Thank you.
the group.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate having you here.
Now, my daughter is in retail
Oh, good. Yeah.
for Target, and they got her doing that plus cashiering.
I see.
And I was just wondering, when you said that, you know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to give her pointers, what you're giving me, I'm trying to give to her, because I'm not gonna go out there.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not. And I'll admit it.
But there are principles here, and I pointed that out
I'm
with
trying to.
improving
Yeah.
rejection. There's a lot of principles here that we just all need in life. It's also